Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. Man, I wish I knew where my tacos were. Okay, man. How's this view? It's so relaxing up here. Alrighty. Alright, we'll get started, hey? So this is for Clementine and Otis. Alright, so use the THT discount code at indosole.com. That's INDOSOLE.com for the best footwear made from recycled materials. You can also use the THT code at crushorganics.com. That's KRUSHORGANICS.com for the best CBD oils and topicals. And you can also use that code at kingpinstore.com. That's KINGPINSTORE.com for all your skate supplies and shoes. So you'll get the THT discount at these places, and you'll be supporting THT on its continued mission to spread ideas, stories, and hopes for the future. Thank you, everyone. Terrible Happy Talks. Terrible Happy Talks.
Yeah, good to be here, man. Whoa.
Submissive dominant lifestyle.
3, 2, 1. Alright, do this. Today's guest is Peruvian breath-holding specialist, surfer, waterman, ocean resilience builder, Mr. Augusto Vegas. This week, Augusto is back on the show with me live at Mana Restaurant in Uluwatu, Bali, to share his journey, experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Mr. Augusto Vegas, welcome.
Thanks, Sean. I'm stoked to be back here with you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to open up, share, and make the best of it.
We were talking before, like last time you were on, we did it remotely, like in the pandemic, and it was like in 2020.
2020.
So over a year ago. More than a year.
More than a year.
Wow, man. How's that last year of your life been?
I would say, and I think nowadays I no longer say amazing or it sucked. It just like I realize like every day is a day. And within a day, you have amazing moments and moments that suck. So generally speaking, it's been a very positive year.
Yes.
And just a continuous, I guess, reaffirmation of the life I am building.
Yeah.
So I think it's a year where my life carried on going in the direction that I wanted to go. So I would say it's been a great year.
It's been a great year.
It's been a great year.
Were you able to survive financially?
That's a very good question. In Peru, we have a saying. You know when you throw a rock into like in the ocean to make like the little like bounces,
Ripples.
Yeah. And then if you make a lot of ripples, the stone keeps going.
Yeah.
So in Peru, we have a saying like when you just manage to pass a course or an exam, you just passed on one bounce of the rock. So
yeah.
that was a bit like my finances.
That's a good analogy.
I just made it.
I like that, man. I was just like looking around at our surroundings. So for those listening, we're at Mana Restaurant at Uluwatu up on the top deck, and there's a little bit of offshore wind. So there might be a little bit of wind in the microphones, so I'm sorry for that. But the view that we're looking at is we're looking directly over like the break of Uluwatu with the main break there. We're looking at his temples. The swell's starting to build. It's going to be a massive swell tomorrow, and the bommy is starting to break already. So there's like a really good energy in the air. As a surfer, when you know there's a swell coming, what happens to you?
What happens to me is, of course, inevitably you get excited. Depending on the break you have in your mind, this excitement could go towards like the cheery excitement or the fiery excitement,
Yeah.
So it'll vary depending on what I am planning to expose myself to.
Okay.
All right. Now, the swell that's coming tomorrow or the next day at some point, I just came from the island of Sumba, where I've been super active in the ocean, surfing and spearing every day. So I've arrived to Bali not necessarily planning to surf that swell, but seeing how my body responds to my next nights of sleep and take it from there.
So that's what you teach people in your course, is how to manage these fear responses?
Like, how to put it? I teach them, I provide people with tools, exercises that allow them to practice self-management. No, so I would give them mind tricks,
Yeah.
mind tools, how to use their breath, their body awareness, their choice of reactions, not to help them make smarter decisions, to choose more empowering responses or ways of being that are going to help them make succeed in the ocean. No,
But you're doing it through like physiology, like a science-based approach of changing your body's chemistry. It's not so much a spiritual practice, it's a physical practice, yeah?
it's a physical practice. Now I use enough science to, let's say, validate my teachings, but to actually make this practice effective in real life situations, inevitably you need to work on your self-awareness and self-control.
Gotcha.
So I think there is no science that can take you by the hand in that journey. No, you get the science to realize, okay, this sounds interesting. These guys are validating this information, but when it comes to the actual application, you need to put in the time and energy into testing things and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Interesting. I love it. So it's not just for surfers.
No, actually, being a surfer, and a free diver and a spearo, I said, there's not many people teaching surfers these things. I'm going to build a course for surfers.
Yeah.
But as the years went by, suddenly I get someone that has fear to the water and they come on my course. Or I get a triathlete that is struggling swimming in open ocean. You know, so now I'm starting to train fighters that are preparing for fights. And I'm realizing, Jesus, this is actually pretty cool. You know, I am realizing that what I've been teaching to surfers to help surfers manage themselves in stressful situations in the ocean actually has a very powerful blueprint, like foundation, that basically can help any human to develop, to improve on their stress management.
Wow. So, yeah, fighters is an interesting one because it's heavily cardiovascular activity. Are you learning or teaching the body to manage lactic acid response? Is that something as well or not really?
With a breath hold exercise, inevitably, depending on how intensely you push yourself, there will be an increase in acidity in the body, through CO2, could be eventually lactic acid, depending on the nature of the exercise. But what I actually that exposure will bring physiological adaptations.
Okay.
But what I am actually doing, CO2 and lactic acid in the body doesn't feel nice. No, it's stressful.
Right.
So I actually, through breath holds or breath retention exercises, I will create a stressful environment inside the body.
Right.
To teach the mind.
Right.
So you're like, hey, deal with this, So I basically use the exercise to create that stressful environment, and then I give the mind some tasks to do.
Gotcha.
And through practice, people basically use a breath hold to create their classroom.
Gotcha. So when your body's overloaded with CO2, your central nervous system then adapts the fight or flight response, correct?
How to put it? I am, to be honest, just by the person I am, I don't work on those terms.
Okay.
I guess I get a bit not confused, but I like to say more when CO2, when the CO2 starts to build up in the body or lactic acid appears in the body.
Yes.
That is a sign that you are being exposed to a challenge.
Okay.
Okay. Now, depending on who you are and your life experience, your habits of being, your response to that challenge will be of a certain nature.
Gotcha.
No, maybe through lack or the community you've grown in, or who you've grown with, or who you've learned from,
Yeah.
you already have a very empowering response to that stressful situation, which allows you to manage it well.
Got you.
But maybe you haven't been so lucky and you have certain habits that whenever you're exposed to certain types of stress, your response is not ideal, which doesn't allow you to give your best.
Okay.
All right? So, through breathing and breath holding practices, you can help people spot their good responses and their poor responses,
Okay.
and start to work at them over time.
Right. You know when someone gets to the point of like, oh, I can't go on anymore, when they're holding their breath?
Yeah.
So like for me, I was really into the Wim Hof breathing method when it first came out. And every time, like I'd get to around 2.5, 3 minutes, and that was when it became stressful. And I was like, my mind would start saying, you got to breathe, you got to breathe, you got to breathe. And I got better at extending that and drawing that out, but it always gets to a point where I'm like, I could never go that much longer. So when someone does have that response of like, I can't go on anymore, how much longer do they actually have?
Like a point of reference I like to share with people is if you are starting a breath hold fresh, no, you are not tired, you're fresh, you take a breath and you hold it. From the moment intense discomfort appears, provided you manage yourself well, there is a high chance that you can still double that time.
Right. Double the time.
It's not a rule written on stone, but it's a point of reference which I share with my students to encourage them to push a little further.
You can't die though, unless you're underwater.
Yep. Unless you're underwater and you push yourself too much and then you have a low oxygen scenario and there's no one to assist you, it can be a fatal practice.
Even out of the water.
Out of the water, if you faint, you'll wake up in bed. No?
Okay.
If you are training responsibly, if you have no one to train with, you should train lying in bed or on a couch, on a yoga mat. If anything, you push yourself too much, you'll wake up.
So if you're mentally able to hold your breath long enough till you pass out, if you have that mental strength to get that far, you'll just pass out and then your body will start automatically breathing.
Now, before I answer that question, let me state that in the breath holding training world, to hold your breath until blackout is not well seen.
Okay.
It's like a sign of a lack of self-awareness, lack of self-control.
Okay.
Ideally, you don't want to train yourself to go to that point.
Okay.
You want to train yourself to be hard-headed,
Yes.
but also responsible.
Okay.
Because, let's say, we are, putting ourselves through this harsh training so that we can go and play at sea.
Yes.
And when you play at sea, you are with other people.
Yes.
No? So you don't want to be the guy that makes everyone be scared that you might black out any moment because you don't know how far to push yourself.
Yeah.
So what I actually just finished teaching a course today. Someone asked me a similar question, and my reply was, no, when training this, with these exercises, all you need to do is make sure that your session is challenging enough.
Okay.
If it's challenging enough, it means you are exposing yourself to a stressor that will lead to evolution.
Okay.
Okay? And that's all you need. All you need is to keep constantly evolving, so that you're growing, you're learning, you're absorbing skills, and
It's a journey without a destination.
you could say it's a journey with no finish line. Let's put it that way.
Well, what have you learned about yourself then?
What have I learned about myself?
In terms of how far you can push yourself.
I no longer train myself to that with the intensity I used to.
Okay.
Okay, but when I was in that mindset, I would really push myself very hard in the disciplines I chose.
Okay.
Now, over the years, I discovered a strong passion for education.
Yes.
So I decided, I love educating. I have enough knowledge, skills to pass on to a lot of people.
Yes.
So I think I've done my bit of pushing myself. With the physicality that I have at the moment, I can enjoy the surf I like. I can hunt the fish I want to hunt. I feel safe enough in the ocean. And I also not burning myself down.
Okay.
So I think nowadays I think the older we get, the smarter we start becoming with how we use our machine. You know?
Yeah, for sure. I've got a question. Since COVID, I know I got COVID, and I must admit when I train really hard, because I'm into boxing and surfing as well, I find when I really have a really hard training session and I'm really pushing myself to VO2 max, I don't have this same, no matter how fit I am, I can't go to the same levels I used to, and I get the different feelings in my body, like my cardiovascular system is not as resilient, as strong as it used to be. During the time since COVID with your course, are you finding people are coming to you post-COVID and don't have the same cardiovascular resilience?
Not really. I've had people that come to me or maybe see me in the street or somewhere and they tell me, hey bro, I have COVID, I feel my breathing hasn't, it's not back to where it used to. And to them I always, there's, I'm not like a COVID specialist, but having the hunch of what could be happening within them, I tell them, bro, no, there's exercises that you can do. Exercises to mobilize your lungs, to regain lung vitality, to strengthen breathing muscles, to expand your alveoli properly, which could have been affected by the disease. But it's not something that clearly I've seen in my students.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Just curious because, as time goes on, I'm wondering if we're starting to see the long-term effects of COVID on people. And I just thought maybe it's something that's come up, in your practice, in your business.
No, not at all. If anything, I've just got people asking me, like, if I know exercises that they can do to help them recover quicker.
Yeah, okay.
But in terms of performance, actually, today I've had some of the best performances I've seen in a class in a long time. Yeah.
And then new people, beginners.
Beginners. There was a guy that started the class with. Not saying, hey, I've just got into surfing. I'm actually a very experienced snowboarder, but I've grown up in the mountains.
Okay.
And he came out with the longest breath hold.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you think it's because he spent a lot of time in the mountains and at altitude, so he has a higher red blood cell count, maybe?
I think definitely I didn't ask his full background, but definitely seems that he's been into sports, which gives you a strong foundation.
Yeah.
However, I think his key asset was that he practices Vipassana meditation.
Vipassana?
Yeah.
So silent meditation, no talking, ever?
No talking, or the meditation technique that you learn in a silent retreat, which really teaches you a lot of self-awareness.
Interesting.
So I actually did a silent retreat years ago, and it's been the top 5 most amazing things I've done in my life.
Really?
And it strongly inspired my teaching. So a lot of the articulations that I deliver nowadays, a lot of the direction I've taken my curricula is inspired in what I learned during a Vipassana retreat.
Wow.
So knowing that he had done that, and with a brief conversation we had after the course, I clearly saw that, his progression had, I told him, bro, like what you've achieved today, the understanding you've shown, normally takes people weeks or months.
Yeah.
Can
I ask though, going back, why did you originally feel like you needed to do a silent meditation?
Well, to be honest, first time I heard about silent meditation.
Yeah.
I was living in Thailand, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to leave an island where I'm having an amazing time and go and lock myself for 10 days in silence.
No.
There's no way. However, years went by, and suddenly you hear people talking about it. Oh, that sounds... you start to change. And the real turning point was I was teaching a freediving course in Bali. This was 2012.
Freediving course?
A freediving course. And one of my students was a bodyguard. He is a bodyguard, back then, that was normally looked after superstars when they came to Bali.
Gotcha.
prior to being a bodyguard, he had been a professional fighter, boxing and Muay Thai for years.
Okay.
And after a few conversations, he told me, bro, in my life, I've done 40 silent retreats. And knowing what you do, I think I recommend you should do one.
40?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I said, my God, this dude is just not anyone, And if he's recommending me I should do one, I'm going to do it, So a few months later, I was looking for dates on a silent retreat.
Yeah.
So I was in Bali, I flew to Thailand, and I put myself through the experience. And it was amazing. Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself?
I think learn about myself is not the phrase I would start with. I think what I learned about life, and basically they tell you, bro, we teach you an art of living, a way of looking at reality.
Okay.
So basically they gave me a new pair of glasses.
Really? Were you not happy with your life before that, though?
I think I was, and but the energy state, or the state of mind, or however you wanna call it, this practice allowed me to experience at the end of those 10 days.
Yeah.
Was an energy state I had never experienced before.
Wow, man.
And I was like, oh my God. For the last 10 days, all I've been doing was, sitting down for 9 hours a day. Of course, not continuous, but with little breaks, paying attention to my body, for brief moments to my breath, and that has allowed me to enter this energy state. Which is, I don't know, pure bliss could be a way to
Really?
describe it. It was just amazing.
Would you? Keep
sorry.
going. Excuse me.
So they at this place they tell you the silent retreat is 10 days because through practice, and this is a practice that has thousands of years, we realize it takes at least 10 days to enter this space. That's why it's been 10 days. Now, the fact that you are experiencing this state of being right now doesn't mean you're going to stay in that state of being, because tomorrow you're leaving this place and you're going to be exposed to life.
Yes.
And life is going to hit you from different angles. However, the fact that now you are aware that this energy state exists and you can get there with your own resources already will be of great assistance for those moments of life where you lose it, where things go bad, where the unexpected happens and you feel broken, defeated, oh my God, life sucks. Then you remember, actually, I can get back to this state of being. So that is the objective of this place, was making you aware that this space exists and show you how you get there.
Would you compare it to a psychedelic experience?
I mean, I've done psychedelics. Being from Peru, I experienced a lot with San Pedro, which is like peyote, or
San Pedro?
or our version of peyote, or
Ayahuasca? Ayahuasca.
No, San Pedro is like the cactus. They also call it wachuma.
That's meant to be the real full-on one.
The real full-on one.
Is
So I bumped into San Pedro in my late teens, and I tried it many times.
In Peru?
In Peru. Initially, it was like, probably in Bali you have the mushrooms. No, back in Peru, that was the thing that we had accessible.
Is it culturally accepted by the Peruvian people?
Not by all.
Not by all?
Not by all.
Interesting.
Traditionally, it was a medicine, not necessarily to use as a hallucinogenic, because there's different ways to prepare it.
Okay.
But it had its spiritual side. Now, initially, me and some friends were just in for the fun of it. No, we knew that if we prepared it and drank it or ate it, and we went camping or to the mountains, we will have this amazing visual psychedelic experience. So that was our initial quest.
Yeah.
However, after a few experiences like this, I started to see beyond the evident.
Yeah.
And it really showed me some fascinating aspects of reality.
Really? Like what?
Like
this world's not real?
It basically removed any anchor I had on reality. to the point that it got freaky. You know, like I was like, okay, if everything is not real, then what is real? You know. And I was in my early 20s, you know, like about to finish uni and about to like get exposed to like a working life, and suddenly I was questioning all reality, you know. So
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell, you know, like what do I follow? What path do I follow?
Yeah.
So I'm like, a lot of what I've seen using this plant
Yeah.
is making me question things way too much.
Okay.
It's bringing me a lot of insecurity,
Yeah.
anxiety.
It did that.
So I said, I am better off stopping, using it, forever, or until I figure myself out.
Interesting.
Luckily, I started to read books, by different authors from different places, and suddenly I spotted a lot of the insights I had acquired during the San Pedro experience in writing by people that come from a very different angle, but were talking about these ideas in a different language.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, these thoughts, these ways of thinking, it wasn't just me going crazy or being high. It's actually, there's other guys talking about it, so I'm onto something, you know?
Yeah.
So that was a bit like, it was a very eye-opening, inspiring journey that started as fun, and then it became actually a great way to discover some beautiful life insights.
Yeah.
And then with ayahuasca, I experienced it in a different way, a bit more guided by a shaman. And I also got some nice insights that I wouldn't say were life-changing, as in, okay, you did it and tomorrow your life changes. But actually, those little like spices of life that start to mark your path, and that together with other things start kind of dictating a bit of who you are to become, you know?
Gotcha, yeah.
It's a little bit how I lived it.
Oh, so interesting. Yeah, it comes up a lot these days, the psychedelic experience, in terms of a perspective shift on the world. And that's what I wonder with what you do with the breath work. Are people having the same realization when they start on a breathwork journey and getting a similar insight into the universe and their life and who they are as a person as they would by using a psychedelic?
Okay, so the psychedelic gave me, let's say, some insights, and it was great. But also there was the fact that I was altering my senses.
Yes.
You know, so that can always bring an element of questioning, of insecurity, especially when you're going to question something as reality. You know, you're like, oh my God, like, is this actually real or was I just high, you know? So, however, the energy state, the perspective of reality I experienced after the Vipassana was purely from observing my body and paying attention to sensations within me. Completely natural, completely untouched. So there was no way you could question that.
Okay.
That was actually as pure and as real as it gets. You know, so that was the beauty of it. So that inspired, let's say, in a big part, what I teach nowadays. So, like, what I am passing on to people is developing, sharpening their ability to be present.
Okay.
And pay attention to the energies that are going through their bodies, what emotions they are feeling, what type of thoughts, how's their breath going, how's their breath and their actions matching. Mm-hmm. Can they adjust any of these ways of thinking, emotions they are welcoming in to help them perform better? Which I like a lot, because you are basically providing people with tools that can be applicable in any moment of life.
Interesting.
I'll tell you a pretty funny anecdote.
I want to hear it.
So, like before we started talking, I think, or when we started the podcast, you asked me, hey, how did you manage financially during the pandemic, you know? And of course, you know, it caught me out of guard.
Everyone. I got a lot of people.
Not much savings. And I was living with my great friend Sean and Nikki and Sunny, like a strong family, and they were super welcoming. I had a house that loved me, you know, and I could feel at home. So that immediately gave me like a safety net. But I was like, Jesus, like, what's the future gonna be like? You know, I couldn't keep going like that. And of course, it would bring anxiety. I was lying in bed and like thinking, where is this gonna go? And of course, inevitably here we had the ocean right here, so no matter how bad things were outside of the water, we could always go and sneak into like an epic surf session.
Yeah.
So I remember days that I'll be coming out of Ulu, stoked, my God, that was amazing. Get on the bike, and as I start to drive, the anxiety just starts creeping into me.
Interesting.
Bro, what's going to happen? How do you manage? And thanks to, I guess, my self-awareness, I'll start to watch anxiety starting to take away all the good energy I had come out from the ocean with and change it into all this like fear and anxious and anticipation for what the future brought. And immediately I would go, oh my God, there is no way I'll be able to positively affect my reality if I let this energy step on me like that.
Gotcha.
So one of the tricks that I used, I would accelerate the motorbike a little faster, so I would visualize how the wind blew away anxiety away from me. And I will use that trick to, sorry, but you're getting off here, and I'll hit it, and it'll blow it off, and I will bring the good energy to stay with me. So that's an example
really nice,
of.
Man.
I think you need to make that sound you said.
What sound? Oh, you want the applause? There we go. So that was worth it. It was worthy of an applause, everyone. I love that.
I had to call it. No, anyway. So the thing is that sometimes what happens is sometimes when you feel or you think something, you take it as truth.
Yes.
Oh, I'm feeling anxious.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Bullshit.
It must be true. I need to feel like this because this is what is happening.
But is that what the breath holding creates, is present moment awareness? You become more present.
More present, but also with the little tricks that you can play with, you realize that when you analyze your present, you realize, hey, there is something I'm not in agree with or I'd like to shift.
Yeah.
That you have the ability to shift it.
Yes.
So that is can be very empowering once you start to apply it in day-to-day scenarios.
I understand. I love it. Yeah, I love the fact that you're so disciplined. So I've heard that going back to Vipassana meditation, I hear that it's really hard physically because you're sitting cross-legged for 8 hours a day or something.
Yeah, of course there's breaks, but in total you'll accumulate like 9 hours sitting down.
9 hours a day. And you don't talk?
You don't talk.
And then for 10 days? Yeah, so that would take a lot of discipline. And I think and then with the breath holding practice, do you think through consistency and discipline, that's when people find that they're getting the best results?
Yes, I think not only me, but when I've researched other trainers or coaches, everyone swears for consistency over intensity.
Consistency over intensity.
Yes, and
Okay.
I agree with that. So if at any point anyone wants to create long-lasting, sustainable change in their life, rather than going from black to white tomorrow, which might be too drastic, might be not sustainable, you're better off making a small change that you can hold on to long enough until it becomes part of you.
Interesting. Right. Because that's the reprogramming of the mind.
That's a reprogramming, So when I teach exercises, I'm like, okay, this exercise can be extremely difficult, but if I expose you to that intensity right now, I'm going to break you.
Yeah.
Or you might accomplish something that you can celebrate today, but you won't be able to show up to that tomorrow.
Gotcha.
Are you better off? We start slow with something that will inspire your curiosity, will make you want it, will make you see small little results that you slowly start to apply in your day-to-day life.
Okay.
And like that, you start to transform with strong foundations that will stay with you for the long run.
Wow, man. Good messages. Do you love Peru?
Oh my God, 100%.
Like, why do you love it?
Like, I don't know. I think, family, friends, people I have very strong connections with, that early life experiences are there. So that's enough for me. But also being someone that has really appreciated what is to interact with nature from a young age. Over there were all my playgrounds, surf breaks, mountains, Amazon, all the ancient cultures. It's like a pretty mystical, fascinating country.
It seems mystical.
So during my late teens, early 20s, I actually committed to travel through Peru a lot, go camping, surfing.
Wow.
Like really understanding, experiencing my country, The fact that I decided to live outside of Peru for most of my year, because I actually go back every year, but most of my year I'm outside of Peru, was, I guess, a thirst or hunger to explore is not the word. I think it was more like I wanted to live an adventure.
Yes, man.
I wanted to live I was like, dude, this is my life.
Because I want to ask you, why Bali then?
I mean, the thing is, I've been a nomad for almost 20 years.
Wow. You describe yourself as a nomad?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
But I was a nomad for like almost 20 years.
Wow, man.
And throughout these periods, I was a tour guide, I was a freediving instructor, a health and fitness coach. It became okay to reinvent myself as opportunity showed up, and it felt good.
Yeah.
And if and learning a new profession would allow me to live in a country or continent I was curious for, I'll do it. It was cool. I wanted not only to see different parts of the world, like geographically, but I also wanted to live and work with different cultures.
Gotcha.
Somehow that bug got in my mind,
Yeah.
So I started to pursue that journey. So I worked and lived in South, Central America, Europe, East Africa, Asia. But it came to a point where I started to realize this is amazing, but it's making it hard to have like a proper relationship. And I'm actually starting to feel I want a change. Can I live in one place? I started to ask myself. I'm like, I cannot just make the decision from today to tomorrow, So, okay, what does a country need to have so I can live there? I was like, ocean, like I need to be able to work at something that I like. So slowly I started filtering all these countries, and I came up with Peru and Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2016, I said, okay, I'm going to try to come to Bali with my courses to make it out, to make it here. And I went through 2016 with no real network and not many people knowing what I do. And it was pretty hard, but at the end of the year, I got lucky, and I found myself having a connection to work in Uluwatu in Sumba.
Wow, it's an amazing place.
And I said, yes, this is amazing, And so I spent 2017, 18, and 19 mainly based in Sumba. So the idea of settling in Bali kind of shifted a little bit to Sumba. It just felt good, and I went for it. But with the pandemic, suddenly all these gigs in other places were not there. And I said, okay, Bali it is. And luckily, being in the Bukit, I was able to meet a great community that really allowed me to feel at home. And I said, oh my God, this place feels great.
Feels good.
So I think I'm going to start calling Bali home.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay, part of my year in Peru, part of my year in Bali. Okay, so be it. So that is where I'm at. Yeah.
Created a lifestyle on your terms. Is it true that left-hander at Uluwatu is only able to be surfed if you stay at the resort?
Correct.
Ah, man.
It's a very controversial subject, I know. I'm not sure if...
Hold on, wait. Hear that noise?
Yeah.
Is that a motorbike?
Sounds like a motorbike.
That's funny. Anyway, keep going.
So it's a controversial subject, of course, and to be honest, when I was working there, to some extent, we were responsible for, keeping that in line.
Yeah.
So it was always a tricky thing,
Yeah,
hey, bro, what are we going to do, Now, not that I'm taking sides, but if you see what that project has done for Sumba over the years, it's pretty mind-blowing,
I can imagine, dude.
So
they're putting back into the community.
And most of my colleagues there are Sumbanese.
Okay.
all that probably are the only members of their family or the first members of their family that have a paying job, because
Gotcha.
Zumba is still, there's a lot of, how you say, living from the land. You grow your food, you grow your animals. Maybe the new generations are the first ones that are actually going to have a job that is paid in money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the hotel, the project that the hotel supports is giving a lot to the community,
Yeah.
So it's pretty beautiful to see how that in itself is a positive project.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Yeah, just going back to that background noise, it's like a lawnmower, and these are the challenges of recording outside in Bali, but we'll just roll with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I find it interesting. I want to talk a little bit about your free diving. I know it's been a big part of your story. Like, how deep what's your deepest dive?
My deepest dive is 61 meters.
61 meters.
Yeah.
That's almost like, well, an Olympic swimming pool is 50 meters.
50.
So that plus another 10 meters.
That plus another 10.
I mean, have you ever passed out free diving?
No. I think I've been close to, but I've never blacked out.
You never blacked out?
I've never blacked out. And personally, like I mentioned earlier, earlier in my freediving career, I discovered I can be an educator.
Okay.
And it really caught my attention. I can teach.
Yeah.
So my quest for deeper dives only came when I had to achieve a certain depth in order to get a qualification so I can keep teaching.
Yeah.
Or when I was training with someone that was training for like an important competition, and I was maybe supervising their dives. So
Yeah.
I'll be taking dives in between, and slowly I eventually made it to 60 meters.
Wow, man. Okay.
But it doesn't mean I can do it tomorrow.
I know, yeah. But like you built up to that. So you think that it's a lack of ego. You're not too egotistical, and that's why you haven't blacked out yet, because you're being smart about your dives.
I don't know.
A little bit of ego?
I won't know how to put it. I guess when I spearfish, and I spearfish a lot,
Yeah.
I'm very disciplined. I know if I wanna, I like to take care of myself, so I'm very disciplined.
Yeah.
I have my hunting strategy that doesn't need me to push myself too much. I'm more like a persistent hunter. I do like a series of dives until I find the sweet spot. And when it came to free diving, I think surprisingly you'll know that the actual limits when it comes to diving deeper are not how well you can hold your breath, but how well you can deal with pressure.
Pressure, I gotcha.
So by the time I'm doing 60 plus meters,
Yeah.
my breath hold can actually go a lot longer.
Okay.
But the limit of why I cannot go further is my ability to deal with that pressure.
Pressure in the ears?
Like pressure in the body, in a way, like your whole respiratory system is going to get compressed, like crushed.
Yeah.
So you cannot expose it to
Wow.
new depths too quickly. Plus, as you are sinking into these depths, you need to be very skillful with how you manage your valves, your soft palate,
Yeah.
so that you can keep equalizing your ears, moving your tongue,
Yeah.
closing the epiglottis, and that's a skill that takes time to master. So
Wow,
basically,
man.
my skill at that time allowed me to reach 60, 61 meters.
It's amazing, dude. And okay, here's another question. And I know you can't just do this, I know you build up things, but what's your longest stationary breath hold on dry land?
I think 5.5 minutes.
5.5 minutes, okay. What's your longest stationary hold in water?
In water,
Similar?
maybe 5:15.
Is that something you can achieve regularly now? Or is that just your best?
I haven't tried, but I have the hunch I could do 4 minutes 30, like.
Yeah. So can we just go through the technique a little bit in terms of the preparation you do before someone holds a breath? Like, is it a series of... Okay, so I can only relate it to Wim Hof breathing, where it's like a series of like fast, like deep breath and then short exhale. So
Yeah.
that's like a Wim Hof sort of way.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Like what we do, the thing is, I'll explain. Why can you hold your breath for longish after breathing, like in Wim Hof style, is because you flush out a lot of CO2 out
Yes.
of your system.
Yes.
That delays the urge to breathe.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that your oxygen levels aren't dropping.
Okay.
Now, because you're breathing fast, when you start your breath hold, even though you feel relaxed, I think more than relaxed is actually you're lightheaded.
Yes.
That can get confused as relaxation.
Yes.
So you are in a natural high. That feels kind of nice. So this natural high, in a way, numbs you.
Okay.
No? So you go through the beginning of the breath hold, the beginning a numb state.
Yeah.
And eventually you breathe, and then of course, luckily enough, you won't run out of oxygen when you decide to breathe again.
Yeah.
Now, why do free divers, spearos, should not breathe in that way? Because our body needs a certain amount of carbon dioxide, because carbon dioxide allows, basically triggers some mechanisms that allows us to save oxygen underwater.
Okay.
So it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not nice,
Yeah.
but it allows our body to have feedback of what's actually going on.
Gotcha.
No, you cannot afford to be numb.
Gotcha.
Your body needs to be on it.
Yeah.
And carbon dioxide provides you with that feedback of when to switch on the oxygen saving mechanisms. And so a lot of the training that we do is learning to deal with the discomfort of rising levels of carbon dioxide.
Oh, yes.
Because we need it in the system
Right.
to be safer.
Yeah.
No, so did I answer my question?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Sorry, sometimes I get lost a little.
No. It's really interesting. I feel like every time I speak to you, I learn something new. Because, there's so much talk about breath work and breath holding. People are really starting to click onto it in terms of, and catch onto it in terms of being able to manage mental health problems or issues within themselves, and also just to improve their physical health, their cardiovascular well-being, regulate hormones and all that kind of thing. So it's just really good to speak to someone who is doing it, and has done it for a long time. So yeah, I learned a lot from you.
I appreciate it. My pleasure.
Yeah. And one last thing is spearfishing.
Yeah.
Big part of your journey.
Yes.
I've spearfished. I find it it's hard. It's so hard, but also really creepy, because it's like every time I've speared a fish, like I wait for the sharks to come.
Yeah.
Is that something you worry about?
Luckily in Indonesia, there's sharks, but they are not like
The reef sharks.
the sharks that you get like in Australia or South
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
No? So that right in itself gives you peace of mind.
Yes.
So it's not something that I am regularly worried about.
You're not.
No, I'm more like fascinated on the last years. I like to specialize in pelagics. I like hunting pelagics.
So they're the big game fish.
The big game fish.
So such as what?
Spanish,
Marlin,
Spanish
mackerel,
mackerels, wahoos, Dr.
GT.
tunas.
GT.
GTs can appear. I won't say they are pelagics, but they can be big and powerful fish.
Yes.
No, if someone is gonna eat the GT, I'll shoot it. But if there's no one that's gonna eat the GT, that said, here in the book I found people that grill it to perfection. So if I see one and we haven't shot anything else, I might get it.
So you're hunting for food.
I'm hunting for
That's
food.
it. Not for fun. Food. Right.
I think it's part of my life. It's part of who I am. So when I hunt fish, I have a vacuum sealer at home. I take it, I store it in the fridge, and I like to invite friends. So if I'm gonna cook it, I normally make ceviche. In Peru we are pretty good at making ceviches. But if not, through the pandemic, I developed a nice connection with a few restaurants around here.
Yeah.
So there's a Japanese that I can take it and they'll sashimi to perfection.
Yeah. You sell it to them.
No, I take it and I tell them, bro, I'm coming at this time with 8 friends. And they basically charge us a small fee per person and they make us this amazing table of
For the
everything.
food you call it.
Yeah, yes.
That's so cool, man.
Or I have another place that makes epic fish and chips,
Really?
Or another place that makes like the grill stuff. So depending on what I've hunted and what I feel like offering to my friends, I'll take it to a different venue.
You're such a man. Like it's such a man thing to do. Dude.
But I just enjoy it a lot, and it's part of the whole cycle. No, you go with your friends, you hunt it, you bring it here, then you celebrate in a nice meal with people you love, and
it's the best. Like it brings people together, right?
brings people together. You share stories, you bond. I love it. It's good.
Yeah, man. Well, Well, it's been epic. Like, I love talking to you, and I'm so glad that we could, meet up in person this time and do another episode. And
Yes, I'm stoked.
excuse me. Excuse my cough. The wind up here is a bit dry. But I also really enjoy documenting people's journeys now, so maybe we'll catch up again in another year or so and see what you're
Oh,
up to.
bro, 100%.
But I do want to know, like, what's next for you in your life? Just going to continue doing what you're doing?
Like, good question. Like, I am not sure. No, I love what I'm doing. It's brought me to where I am today. I love who I've become so far. I wouldn't change my journey for anyone's. But also looking to my past, I know that every now and then, which I cannot know when, I can get a feeling it's time for a change.
Yes.
And if something life has taught me is that when that feeling comes, you better listen to it.
Okay. Yeah.
So far I'm very happy with who I am, where I am, what I'm doing. Everything points to me being in the future here, doing what I'm doing. But if that little feel for change appears, I tend to respect it.
Okay. You listen to that?
I listen to that.
Follow that intuitive sense?
Yes, sometimes not like immediately, but I start to feel it and digest it and wonder what is this supposed to mean, and eventually change happens,
Eventually change happens. And then if you've really got problems, just get on your motorbike, go faster, and let all the problems blow away.
And let the problems blow away. Not because you feel it and you think it means it's real.
I love it, man. I'll be doing that today on the way home. It's like, so good, Augusto. Such a good dude, man. So listen, I often ask guests to come to the podcast with a cause or a charity that they want to support or advocate for, but I didn't really tell you about it beforehand. But can you think of anything, any causes you want to raise awareness about? Or otherwise we can just raise awareness about your survival apnea course.
Like, what to say, Like, I think raise awareness on self-awareness.
Okay, great.
I think
philosophy.
if I was raise awareness on self-awareness, because many times people can feel lost in life, and they are like, okay, what's my next step? I'm not sure what to do. And everyone should know that everyone in life needs a purpose.
Yes.
So sometimes having a good self-awareness could be all you need to find your purpose.
Okay.
So cultivate presence, cultivate self-awareness, and let the magic happen.
Cultivate self-awareness. That's your message.
That's my message.
I love that, man. Dude, you're the best. You're such a nice guy. All right, so if you scroll down in this episode, you'll find a link to Augusto's survival apnea online course. People can do it. He also runs regular courses here in Bali, at various locations around Indonesia as well. And you can learn some of his methods and techniques for building your ocean resilience and your own self-awareness.
And your own self-awareness.
Yeah, man. It's the best, dude. And you can find this episode on a variety of podcasting platforms other than the one you're listening to right now. TerribleHappyTalks.com is the best place to go to find, all the different links to the different platforms it's on, but also you can find discount voucher codes for various affiliates that THT works with in order to keep the show going. But whatever platform that you like to listen on, please go and leave me a review or rate the show on Spotify. And it just helps, mess with the algorithm and help extend the reach of good messages from legends such as Augusto Vegas.
Oh, Sean, thank you so much for the opportunity. I love having conversations with you.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate if this happens again in the future.
Thank you, sir. Let's eat some tacos. Ew.